welcome to the last regular season edition of the Audible Football Podcast. Now we got a full studio over here with Michael Overly. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Upset that we're already at week 18.
I know, it's sad. Sad.
We've only got a month of football left.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, obviously it's the best month of football we have left. We always end on a bang. Playoffs are always the most important, the most exhilarating, the most exciting time of the year. But it is a sign that it is about to come to an end. So that part's sad. Congrats to everyone that won their fantasy championships over last weekend. I did not. Nate, if you're listening, you went back to back. I hate you. But yeah, congrats to everyone. And if you lost your toilet bowl, I hope your punishment isn't too bad. But we're going to talk a little bit about last week, and then we're going to dive into this week right here, week 18 of the NFL. Oh, gosh, I am stressed.
Yeah.
So many teams have a lot to play for this week. In fact, half of the divisions throughout the league are up for grabs this week.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's still 4 divisions up for grabs right now, and a lot of division spots up for grabs, especially in the AFC, where we'll talk all about playoff scenarios while we're going through the games. But what are you excited for this coming week?
I just want to see the Bears beat the Packers. That's on my list this week.
It's been on your list for a few years now.
Fuck you. But I think Justin Fields the past few weeks has been playing well.
Yeah.
He's auditioning to whether he's keeping his job or whether he's going to another team.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great audition last week.
Maybe for that team.
Yeah, Atlanta's probably the best spot he could go to.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to refresh that coach. They've got a stud running back. They've got Kyle Pitts.
Looks like they're going to keep Arthur Smith, actually.
Are they?
That's what it's looking like.
Man.
I don't know
Either way, I think that's a good situation for him. But this coming week, he's got to play like he did last week to complete his audition or whatever, or his plea to stay. I think knocking off the Packers, who are a win-and-in situation, is a big game for the Packers and Fields. So that's my biggest thing in Week 18. A little bit about the Bears and Falcons game altogether. Fields had 300 plus total yards, 2 total touchdowns, led 4 scoring drives. He just had elite ball placement. I will say elite ball placement and decisions making in that game. So that's what I want to see consistently. Ryan Poles has the hardest decision to make, I think, in the last 10, 15 years of anybody in the offseason. It's going to be a tough one.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I don't envy Ryan Poles right now. He literally has a chance to make or break this entire franchise, which has waited so long for someone like Fields, who has potential to be generational. But all of a sudden, you're getting to that point where you're saying, hey, I either need to extend you and cough up a lot of money. I mean, because of his first 2 years, do you think they get a discount, or do you think he goes, hey, like, I need to be paid like one of the best because I am one of the best. I've shown you in certain games where I've played like that. So depending on what the contract is, I mean, obviously that's going to be a tough situation for him. But on the other side of the coin, you got Caleb Williams waiting in the wings. This man is generational. I mean, obviously we hear that every year for different players, but for quarterbacks specifically, we haven't heard it since Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence since then has not played up to par. But before that, the last time I heard it before that was Andrew Luck, who put the Colts on his back and carried them to double-digit wins almost every year that he played. Before that, hasn't been since, like, Peyton Manning, Before that, John Elway. So the word generational comes up about every generation. So are you willing to risk losing that, and not only losing that, but losing that on a rookie contract?
Yeah, it's hard to say because... I mean, the market's changed over the last few years. So even if Justin Fields is asking for minimal, it's like 35, 40 million. And that's ridiculous. I mean, Daniel Jones got 40 million. And
if you could get him on a Daniel Jones contract, you take it.
Yeah, I mean, so if that's considered a discount, then yeah, you could stick with Justin. You could also franchise tag him for 2 years and get him at 20-something million, which is a steal for his type of talent. But it pains me to say it, but even if you like Fields and even if you're leaning towards Fields, I think you get the worst thing is you get the same out of Caleb Williams, and he's $10 million cheaper. Yeah, I mean, so it makes sense to reset the market or the QB for the Bears. It's just hard. It's a hard decision to make.
It's very hard. It's harder when last week they're playing in Chicago and the fans are chanting, "We want Fields." That's terrifying to hear, because if you make the wrong decision, the fans are going to say for years, "We told you."
Yeah.
You know?
Caleb Williams, or even if you get somebody else like Drake May or something like that, if they're a bust.
I mean, we were watching the Sugar Bowl
hearing.
last night. You said Michael Penix is looking kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, Penix, he's arguably the same kind of prospect, except he has the injury history for the ACLs. So
And he's like 25, I think.
Yeah, so he's a little bit older. He's got some injuries.
25 is old, even though we're 25.
26.
Oh, you're 26. Old head.
Yeah. So there's a lot to weigh.
Yeah.
If you go with a new QB and you're at number one, you got to go Caleb Williams. I mean, he's just the highest status prospect.
The way I'm thinking about it too, if you do trade that number one pick, because I feel like
you get such a haul.
Last year you got a haul. You got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore for Bryce Young, who currently is a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. You know, no one was expecting much from Bryce. Or there's big expectations, but no one was expecting much from Bryce Young in his first year because of the weapons he had.
Right.
But whoever gets this haul, you know, they're going to be coughing up 3 firsts?
Unexpectedly, because I mean,
3 firsts and 2 seconds. Maybe?
You have 2 potential trade pools. You've got QB needy teams and wide receiver needy teams with Marvin Harrison there.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 firsts is probably the minimum, and you probably throw in a 3rd and a 2nd in there as well, or a player. It's going to be a haul. Emphasizing again, he's got such a hard job this offseason. He could do what he did last year, build through the draft like he wants to, get multiple picks. We've already got 6 of our own, so if he gets another 2 or 3 this year, that moves us up to 9 for the draft.
Yeah.
And
you guys have clearly been drafting well recently.
Oh yeah, I mean, just a few to.
I mean, Darnell Wright has been a hit.
Darnell Wright, Tyreek Stevenson,
I wanted actually.
Oh my God, he's been playing phenomenal.
Jalen Johnson, he's a Pro Bowler. Potentially.
He's made all the right decisions, all the right moves. He's got Sweat. He got DJ Moore. Those are veteran players that he picked up.
Now, one third scenario, which not a lot of people are talking about, and honestly, this is just for shits and giggles, but say a team that is going through cap hell right now. Yeah, you know, they're going through cap hell, and they're like, man, I really want to just tear everything down. We need a new quarterback, and we're paying our guy already so much money. Say Eagles, Chargers, Bills, where all of these quarterbacks just aren't getting over the hump, right? Justin Fields, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, they're not getting over this hump, right? Do you trade that number 1 pick for a player of that caliber?
I've seen some scenarios where people are putting Herbert in a trade for the Bears, which I don't hate. You know what you're getting. You have
that's the thing. You know what you're getting.
Yeah. You then have all that other capital from that trade of the first, because I mean, is Herbert worth the first overall that we have this year, and that's it? No, you're going to throw other picks in that, so you're getting draft capital and a proven player. I really like that. I would probably stay away from Jalen Hurts just because, I mean...
He's very similar to what you already have.
Yes. So, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, those are really good scenarios to give up your first overall pick and some for that.
Yeah.
I would lean towards Justin Herbert, though, just because his pocket presence, he doesn't turn over the ball a lot. And then
He puts up numbers.
He does. He's very good for the Chargers. And I think him going to a new team, you'd see if it's Herbert or if it was the Chargers. I don't hate that.
Yeah, no. I'm super excited just to see what happens, you know? I'm sure you're on pins and needles because I don't see many bad scenarios for you guys because I feel like you'll be happy with whatever happens at the time.
Yeah.
Unless you guys you're just like, we're getting rid of Fields and we're trading the number 1 pick. And at number 10, we pick Penix. And then all of a sudden you get a first for Fields, 3 firsts, you have 4 firsts now, and then you get Penix, and then you're just wheeling and dealing. But even then, that's not a bad call. So, like...
Yeah, I mean, any way he goes, I think it'd be safe.
Yeah.
The only thing is if he keeps Fields and Fields doesn't work out, I think then that is the worst
case scenario.
Yeah, because then you have all these talented QBs in the draft, 4 or 5 of them, that could legitimately be franchise guys under the right coaching staff. So,
and I feel like all the quarterbacks in this draft specifically, I would say even the 3rd ranked quarterback in this draft is probably as talented as Bryce Young last year.
Yeah.
You know, this quarterback class is one of its own, and obviously there's going to be busts in this class. We know it. We just don't know who yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, in 2017, 2018, when we had 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, we had Mayfield, Darnold, Rosen, Allen, and Lamar all taken.
And 3 of them were busts.
Who's talking about
or
Rosen?
Mid.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's talking about Baker Mayfield? Obviously, he has a chance to win a division this year. But he's also on his 4th team in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, Lamar and Josh Allen are the only real success stories. Darnold is technically on a Super Bowl contender right now as a backup. So there's going to be busts. We know that. But obviously, when there's 5 really, really good quarterbacks this year, you got to throw your shot. You got to throw a dart at it.
Yeah. I mean, just last kind of scenario, you could keep Fields. Draft a late 1st or 2nd round. You could trade back from your 10th. You get a QB to challenge Fields. Because, I mean, Tyson Bagent was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not
If you
really
draft a 2nd or 3rd round
but...
quarterback, I don't think anyone's going to fault you for that. Just because, hey, like, if you don't get the job done, we got someone at least trying to compete, pushing you.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of decisions for Ryan Poles, a lot of decisions, probably a lot of freaking thoughts going through Fields' head, going through the team's head. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason.
Absolutely. Guys, let us know in the comments, what should Ryan Poles do? You know, who's he here for? Is he here for the fans? Is he here for himself? What's he doing?
Yeah.
And what should he do? You're the GM. Tell us what's happening. We're going to move on to my team for a second real quick. Locked up the number 1 spot. Obviously, we're on 2 different ends of the spectrum. One team has the number 1 pick, not their own, we know. And one team just locked up the number 1 seed in the AFC. A stacked AFC, might I add. I am absolutely thrilled with 13 wins already. I predicted us before the season to have 12 wins, and we have a chance for 14, so I'm ecstatic. But going along with that, the Ravens are not like the Dolphins' win record. You know, the Dolphins have 1 win against a winning team. The Ravens currently, and before the season started and currently, have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Number 1 hardest schedule in the entire league. We play in the hardest division, and then we had to play another hard division in the NFC West. So we had it going for us. And look where we are now. Absolutely cruising through. We thought we had a playoff stretch where we had to play the Rams, the Jaguars, the Niners, the Dolphins, and the Steelers to end our season. And so far, we're 4-0 in that stretch. And not only just 4-0, but we have dominated every team aside from the Rams in that stretch. So I'm stoked. Lamar, I think he has another MVP coming for him. But what I'm even more excited about is that no one is content with this on the Ravens. They're celebrating, but right afterwards, you see the press conference, and Lamar has that Kobe mentality where it's like, you're up 2 games. Aren't you happy? He's like, what's there to be happy about? Job ain't finished yet. I mean, the stands were chanting, MVP, MVP. Lamar's on the sideline like this. Just staring. He's locked in. And that's what I want to see. He remembers 2019. He won an MVP. He won 12 games in a row to go on to the playoffs where they were 14-2. 12 games in a row. Had a bye week and lost to the Tennessee Titans. While putting up 500 yards of offense. Still lost to the Tennessee Titans first round. It's in his head. And he's not letting it happen again. That's what I love to see. How are you feeling about this team this year?
I mean, I would say as far as like complete put together team hitting on all cylinders, it's the Ravens and the 49ers right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Ravens dominated the 49ers in the second half. I think their defense is more solid, more gelled. I think they had a great showing last week, especially in the second half. You had Roquan with a pick, who doesn't get very many.
One-handed pick.
Oh, yeah, it was...
He
snagged it.
Geno Stone has another pick. He's second in the interception leader.
I mean,
Backup safety.
just over the past 2 weeks, like, you guys come out, you make adjustments in the second half, because, I mean, both have been a little tight, low scoring, and then you guys just come out banging. And that is what you want to see from a playoff team. You can make adjustments, execute those adjustments, and dominate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for the Ravens. You don't have to play the Titans because they are not in the playoffs.
Thank God. I hate the Titans so much. I don't know why, but the Titans are the one team that just get under my skin more than almost any other team.
Yeah, and the only other thing I would say is you may have a divisional matchup in the playoffs. I mean, the Browns are probably your scariest opponent.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't have any knock on wood down here. But I think this is their year to get to the bowl.
Yeah.
Whether they win it or lose it, I don't know. But they get to the bowl. And like you said, Lamar could have another MVP coming. I think players like Tyreek Hill, McCaffrey are making it hard.
Right now, he's the betting favorite, minus 2,000. And he might not play next week because he threw 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah. He definitely very well could have another MVP coming. It definitely is top 3 in the discussion. Really excited for what they're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm stoked. We haven't been to the playoffs, or we went to the playoffs last year. Obviously, we had Tyler Huntley, who we were one yard fumble away from going to the divisional round. I didn't have Super Bowl aspirations, but I would love to send home a divisional opponent last year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But since then, if you look at the past 2 years before this year, the Ravens were 8-3, I believe both times, leading the AFC both times. So basically what I'm hearing is when Lamar starts a full season, the Ravens are the 1 seed. That's what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for it. We got him locked down. We gave him his contract. That's a monkey off our back. We don't got to worry about it. We'll talk about the Ravens a little bit in the Ravens-Steelers preview, but I just wanted to, give myself a little pat on the back, being a Ravens fan. Thank you so much for, 10-year-old Sage choosing the right team. All right, so we're going to move on to our talks for this week. And the first game on the docket right here, what do you know? It's the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Baltimore Ravens.
It's a Saturday game.
It is a Saturday game. It's being played at 3:30 Midwest time. If you're on the East Coast, I know you're watching. I know our podcast is spread so far, so wide. East Coast 4:30, West Coast 1:30. And if you're in Mountain Time, you don't watch football anyways. They're 2 hours back.
East Coast is 2 hours back. Or
What?
no, sorry, yeah. Never mind. I got West and East mixed up.
What?
East.
We're a little stupid over here. We know ball. That's all. So right now, the spread is in favor of the Steelers by 3.5, since they are playing to make the playoffs, and we are not. We are most likely going to be resting our players this week. Even though there are some reports that say like, hey, maybe we'll have a few series just to make sure we don't hit the rust, which does concern me.
Yeah.
But the Steelers are starting Mason Rudolph again this week. Mason Rudolph has continuously put up 30-plus points in his starts. George Pickens has been going off. Jalen Warren looks like a man possessed. And Najee Harris hit 100 yards last week. So the Steelers look to be hitting on their cylinders as well. They do need a little help to get into the playoffs right now. So they need to win. If they lose, they're out, right? But at least if they lose, they're basically out. But if they win, they need a Buffalo loss or a Jacksonville loss. But if both of those things happen, they're still out. Which I don't get the math. I understand someone's going to comment and be like, yeah, but really, if you think about it, the conference record plus the points against plus the coin flip at the end of the year, and I don't. They need a Buffalo loss or a Jacksonville loss.
Yeah.
And they need to win. And we'll go through all these scenarios again. But Jacksonville is playing the Titans, and Buffalo is obviously playing the Miami Dolphins for the division crown. What are your thoughts on this game right here?
I mean, I think Pittsburgh takes it just because they have more to play for. I mean, you guys are going to be resting your starters. I think that changes a little bit. But, I mean, you still got Tyler Huntley as your backup, who's not bad.
Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley.
I mean, he makes good reads. He makes good decisions. I think if Pittsburgh gets a turnover or two, that could be the swaying factor in the game. And like you said, I mean, back-to-back games with 30-plus points. They've got something going for their offense. Don't know if it's just been ball delivery, ball decision-making, or what have you, or if it's just Mason Rudolph. But
Rudolph the red zone reindeer.
I just think the team's playing better with him.
Yeah.
It's a divisional game, so any given Sunday, but I think Pittsburgh minus 3 is a fair take. I wouldn't take them much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with this specific game, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Pittsburgh obviously took the first one in Pittsburgh. This one's being played in Baltimore, but at the same time, we are resting our starters. But if I've learned one thing throughout this matchup, it is that it doesn't matter who the starter is for anything. It doesn't matter if there's a different starting quarterback, if there's a different starting linebacker, if the whole offensive line is out, new guys are going to come in. These teams just hate each other enough to make sure that doesn't factor into it. It's a matter of who wants it more in this game. And I know Baltimore is not, they're going to be resting their starters, but they are not going to be resting their tenacity. They're not going to be resting how much they want to send Pittsburgh home.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want to do. This is why you play the game. You play your game to be the best. And when you see someone lined across from you that you don't like, you want to send them back to their house, crying, weeping, eating their feelings until next season. That's what I want. That being said, excuse me, we are dealing with a few injuries, especially in the secondary right now. Marlon Humphrey went out of the game last week almost immediately, which is very shocking because Tyreek Hill was held under 100 yards. So Marlon Humphrey, out. Brandon Stevens last week was out. And then we also lost Kyle Hamilton for a week. He did not play last week, and I doubt he will play this week because we need him healthy for the playoffs. So most of our secondary is going to be out. I'm expecting Pittsburgh to be throwing the ball a lot. But then again, who knows? Next man up. We got Ronald Darby. Daryl Worley also went out of the game last week. We're dealing with injuries. We know how to plug and play, but at some point, there's always a limit. But I'm very excited about this game. I'm always excited for Pittsburgh week.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite matchups to see during the NFL season. Pittsburgh and the Ravens. I think it's always well fought, well played. Mm-hmm. So it's a pick'em game. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Next game we have is going to be the other Saturday night game. It's going to be at 7:15 Eastern, 6:15 Standard, Central Standard.
Who we got?
And we got the Houston Texans going to Indianapolis. Whoever wins goes to the playoffs, guaranteed. If you win this game, you are in the playoffs. This is a playoff game. We got our first playoff game of the year coming to you Saturday night. And we got C.J. Stroud versus Gardner Minshew. I'm excited. How you feeling?
I'm taking the Texans all the way. I
Yeah?
think it'd be a great story for a rookie QB to come in.
It should be 2 rookie QBs.
I know. Anthony Richardson, this could be a different matchup if he's playing. I think Minshew's played pretty well for the Colts and for Steichen.
Extremely admirably.
So, I mean, it's definitely going to be a tough matchup. Their defense has come about a little bit for the Colts the last few weeks. But I just think the Texans offensively, when Stroud is playing, it's just he gets the ball around to so many different players. It's just hard to guard. I mean, you can't double team a guy because then you leave someone open for him to throw to. Schultz has been a good security blanket for him. Mm-hmm. Nico Collins has really stepped up. It's going to be a well fought game, but I think Stroud is just the better quarterback. I think that's the difference maker, and they take this to get into the playoffs in his first year. Yeah,
it does look like Vegas agrees with you. Texans and Colts about even, but the Texans are favored 1.5 points in this game. But I'm actually going to go to the other side. I'm going to go with the Colts for this game, mostly because when they need a win, they get a win, you know? And even last week, I mean, they played a very, very hard-fought game against the Las Vegas Raiders. But that's the kind of game they play, you know? They got Jonathan Taylor. They got, I believe Zach Moss may be coming back this game. So their running game is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm picking them, is because of that running game. Texans do not have a good running game. Devin Singletary has had a few flashes this year, but he has not been... I mean, he's been about what he's been his whole career. With the Bills, with the Texans right now, he's this guy that can come off with some pops. And Dameon Pierce has been kind of a letdown this year. Obviously, Texans now have C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins back. They showed that they were back last week. Dominant performance against the Titans. But Gardner Minshew has played just well enough. Alec Pierce was making plays last week. Michael Pittman is looking phenomenal. I really think that it's going to be a battle of head coaches right now. And it's an offensive coach against a defensive coach. And as much as I love DeMeco Ryans this year, these are my 2 Coach of the Year candidates. 2 of my 3. I got to go with Shane Steichen because I think he can dial up plays to make them just score more points. And I know that's how you win games, but that makes more sense to me. I would like to be proven wrong because I think the Texans would be more fun to see in the playoffs. I think C.J. Stroud would be, walking into the playoffs as a rookie. That's exciting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I agree with a coach battle here too. I mean, you're probably going to get the first half, both coaches feeling each other out. What's their game plan? Yeah. It could come down to second half adjustments and who can execute those adjustments. You've got a experienced QB with Minshew. You've got a rookie QB with Stroud. There's a lot of pressure on this game for both of them. So,
yeah. I mean, this not technically, but it's basically a playoff game.
Yeah.
First playoff game for both of these quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew has never started one. C.J. Stroud, obviously a rookie. I'm excited. There's going to be fireworks in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Yeah. In prime time, too. Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Love it. We're going to move on to our Sunday slate. Sunday slate starts off hot right away. Immediate playoff implications. I believe almost every single game has playoff implications in this Sunday. Almost. First one definitely does. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, the game we just talked about with the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts has a lot riding on this game as well. Whoever wins goes to the playoffs. But if they win and the Jacksonville Jaguars lose, they win the division. Now all of a sudden they get a home playoff game. So they're both hoping for a Tennessee Titans upset. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to Tennessee as 5.5-point favorites in this game. Will Levis will be playing. Trevor Lawrence questionable. CJ beat hard last week. Beat them hard. I was absolutely wrong. I called for the Panthers to win.
So did I.
And I'm never doing that again. Panthers, I don't care who you're playing this week. You're losing by 30. Give me Jacksonville in this game still, just because I think they have more weapons. I think they have more overall talent. And I think talent and want will prevail in this game against the Tennessee Titans. I like Levis in the future. I don't like Levis right now in this spot. How you feeling?
I think so. I agree with you. As far as not really caring for Levis in this spot, I think he tries to force it quite a bit, and he's made some good decisions with trying to force the ball, but he's also made bad ones. Mm-hmm. Balls that could have been thrown elsewhere or what have you. I think Jacksonville's defense is coming off with a chip on their shoulder, pitching a shutout last week.
Mm-hmm.
If Trevor Lawrence plays, Jaguars win. Even though I think he's still kind of mid.
I agree.
But if Beathard is playing, I think it's a toss-em. I don't really want to pick a winner in that case because, I mean, Will Levis, rookie quarterback, he's got a little chip on his shoulder. He's had some good outings against some strong teams. So, I mean, if Lawrence is playing, Jags win. If Beathard is playing, I'll go with the Titans. I just think that they could upset the Jags with Beathard. And that's how I'm predicting it.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I think obviously if it's Beathard over there, Beathard, whatever you want to call him, this game gets a lot closer than a lot of people are going to expect. I mean, this is the same Tennessee Titans team that I believe 4 weeks ago beat the Miami Dolphins. So anything is possible. I believe that was in Miami as well. Tennessee has been a very, very good home team this year. They've won a lot of home games. So I expect that to play a factor into this game. But obviously, when you got something to play for, things change.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, we remember a few years ago when I believe it was was it Jacksonville? No, it was Indy playing in Jacksonville, and it was winning in, and they lost to Jacksonville because Jacksonville had it. They wanted to send them home. So I think Jacksonville still has that in their DNA, but they've been so disappointing this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to get that out of your mouth because we've all... I thought they were going to be potentially the number 1 seed because of how cakewalk their schedule was, along with how talented I thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like that's there. It's just they haven't shown it. So I'd like for them to show it a little bit, but at the same time, I kind of want to see an upset, just so the other game has more meaning.
Yeah, this one's really hard to pick.
Yeah, it's a very hard game, and it says a 5.5 point spread. I think it's closer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Next game we have here is the Minnesota Vikings going to Detroit to play the Lions. The Lions are favored by 3 in this. I think they're favored by 3 because they might be sitting people as well. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings, they have a chance. They have a chance to win this.
Yeah.
But they also have a chance to go to the playoffs. It is not a big chance. Minnesota needs to win. They need a Green Bay loss. Green Bay is playing the Bears. Possible. The Seahawks, they need to lose. The Seahawks are playing the Cardinals.
Possible.
So, I mean, the Cardinals just upset the Eagles, so that's possible. And they need a Tampa Bay loss. And Tampa Bay is playing...
the Falcons.
The Panthers.
Or Panthers.
So, Minnesota's not going to the playoffs. They need the Panthers to win a game. Minnesota's not going to the playoffs.
Oh, I see here that... Or they can get
or
Green Bay,
New Orleans
Seattle, or New Orleans loss.
Who's New Orleans playing?
Falcons.
Oh. So, that one could be possible.
Yeah.
But even then...
They've got slim chances for sure. I think even... So, we got to figure out if the Lions are resting. Do they get a better seed if they win?
I believe they can get up to the number 2 seed.
So, I think even if they don't play their starters the whole game, I think they try and play them a little bit to get up and ahead. I still like the Lions either way, just because, I mean, you're getting probably Jaron Hall, who didn't look great last week. I mean, they lost, 30-3 or something like that to the Packers last week?
Yeah, it was rough.
It was a pretty bad game, pretty bad blowout. I think the Lions are a better team than the Packers this year, defensively and offensively. So I think either way it goes, if the Lions play their starters or not, I think scheme wins this game, and I think Dan Campbell rallies his guys for sure. They win this.
Right. And just because I was a little shaky on it before, the Lions do have a chance to become the number 2 seed in this conference. They would need a Cowboys loss, but also if the Cowboys win, they lock up the number 2 seed and the division, obviously. But yeah, I think this game is actually super interesting, mostly for the fact that Minnesota doesn't have a quarterback that they know they're going to play. They've sat 3 different quarterbacks at 3 different times. Jaron Hall wasn't getting it done. They put in Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins has some success, but that dude just throws it all over the field. Whether or not it's the right team, he doesn't care. And then, obviously, you have Josh Dobbs there. He was a great story for a while. Maybe put him back in. I don't know. But you got to win this game. Last week, you got demoralized against Jordan Rodgers. See what I did there? Slinging it.
I don't love that.
I will say Jordan Love this year has had a better year than any Chicago Bears quarterback in the history of the NFL. So if you think Jordan Love sucks, you're right, but the Bears suck more.
All right, that's the end of this episode. We'll catch you next time.
Fair.
I mean, I think it comes down to coaching there for Love and the fact that he did sit behind a very, very talented quarterback.
Yep.
But despite all, he's looked pretty good. I think we're gonna have another tough matchup against them every year, so better get ready for that. But
yeah, absolutely,
Minnesota does have to win this
Justin
game.
Fields against that matchup, or do you want Caleb Williams?
Could you imagine if Justin Fields went to Green Bay and we played him every year? Okay,
but sad. No, you guys are gonna trade him. You guys won't trade him to Green Bay.
Yeah,
you guys would lose all your fans.
Minnesota's got to win because the Bears are beating Green Bay, and then it just comes down to Seattle or Tampa Bay and New Orleans. So, they've got very, very slim chance, but a chance is a chance. They've got something to play for. But I think the Lions upset him and send him home.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think the Lions win this game. I think the Lions are going to... I hope they send out Hendon Hooker out there. I would love to see Hendon Hooker get some reps. Just to see what you got. You spent a 3rd-round pick on him. You might as well just throw him out there and say, hey, sling it. Let's see what we got in our backup. Because this Goff deal isn't going to last much longer. And you're never drafting high enough to get a top quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, flu game part 2. The game after this is... Actually, I lied. This is the only game, I believe, one of the only games without playoff implications. Cleveland Browns are locked into that number 5 seed. And the Bengals are eliminated. So this game right here, Browns... It looks like the Browns are sitting their starters because the Bengals are favored by 6 points. Which means you're probably going to get... Look at the Browns playing a quarterback.
I think Dorian's hurt.
He's on IR. Oh, hold up. We got to find out who this quarterback is.
While you look that up, I don't know if they're resting all their starters or what. I think with Joe Flacco's scenario, even though I know he's been playing well, and he's proved that he could play well even with some rest, I think you play him this week because, you're going into the playoffs, and I think he needs to stay warm.
Yeah.
Stay on track to how he's been playing, maybe test out some different plays, test out some schemes, something with him, see what you could do, but it's up to them if they rest him, because I know he's also a little older. You don't want him getting hurt. He's your backup plan.
Yeah.
Your backup plan. So I think the Browns schematically still win this, though. You're still going to get Jake Browning, who does play well, but I think even depth pieces for the Browns are stud players.
Yeah.
When they played the Bears, they had 4 or 5 starters out on defense, and they still, in a sense, dominated, especially the second half. So I think Browns take it, -6.
Yeah.
They definitely win by a touchdown, I think.
They've won with every other quarterback they've had, so I don't see why it would change now. But it looks like they are going to be resting their starters and Joe Flacco. According to numberfire.com, about 8 hours ago, they're reporting that's the possibility this week, and I honestly think it's a smart possibility. Joe Flacco is 38 years old. Can't be too careful with that as well, just because of age. But on top of that, you don't know when that Joe Flacco magic is going to end. Because, hey, Josh Dobbs looked like a man that could walk on water for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always last. I have the utmost faith in Joe Flacco because, look at my hat. But I've also seen some slumps. You know, there's a reason why we drafted his replacement. So as much as I love the man, I hope he stays healthy. I hope he doesn't play this week. That being said, I don't want to play him in the playoffs. They're scary. It also looks like they're going to be resting Amari Cooper, who's been dealing with an injury. And Elijah Moore, after that hit last week, he will be out indefinitely. I saw a few doctors on Twitter that were saying he should think about retirement.
Oh, dang.
Because he got hit and there was some involuntary muscle movement almost immediately. It looks scary. Prayers up for Elijah Moore. But take care of yourself, big dog. So that means Cedric Tillman is moving a little bit up. I had very high hopes for him in the beginning of the year, and I hope this gives him the opportunity that he needs to shine in this offense because it looks like he can. Yeah. I remember last week they gave him 3 straight. Last week, yeah, it was last week. I forgot they played Thursday. This seems like so long ago. Last week, they played. They played Cedric Tillman. He was in the end zone 3 straight times. They targeted him. And he didn't get a touchdown. But just the fact that they have enough confidence to target him in the end zone 3 straight times is enough confidence that I need to see. Target share is the most important stat that a receiver can see. And I'm excited to see how his role builds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not much else to really talk about here just because it could go either way, especially hearing that all our stars are mostly resting.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
Stefanski's just a good coach, so
he's a good coach.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot about is Joe Flacco. He makes $75,000 a win. Does he want to start this game? Make $75,000 real quick. Just say, hey, let me get some money.
He very well could. I mean,
even though I do believe if he doesn't play this week and he wins a wild card game, he gets $250,000. That's in his contract. If he wins a Super Bowl, he gets up to $4 million.
Yeah, I mean, definitely just some decisions for him. But yeah, he'd probably rest, take the chance in the playoffs.
He's made a lot of money over his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next on the docket, we have yet another playoff implication. So Tampa Bay is going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Tampa Bay obviously imploded on themselves last weekend. And that was a really sad sight to see because they had the chance to win the division last week. And now it's coming down to this week, and if they win this game, they're in. All you have to do is beat the worst team in the league. How bad could it be? Right?
I mean, divisional matchup.
This is a Baker Mayfield revenge game.
That's true.
Technically.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
But I am pretty heavy favorites. It's 5.5-point favorites for the Bucs. I'm heavy favorites on them as well. I think the Bucs are going to go in there and take care of business. They've been very consistent. Rashad White's been having a breakout party this year. Mike Evans is looking like it's his 5th year in the league, not his 50th. And Baker Mayfield, for the majority of the year, has been playing like a man possessed. That defense has been solid. Antoine Winfield is having an all-pro year. Levante David having an amazing year. And Jamel Dean having a good year. I think they have what it takes, obviously, to beat the Panthers. Almost every team does. But it's scary. It's scary going up against the worst team in the NFL in the last week of the season. I've seen it happen a few times in my lifetime where they say, you know what? We just want one more win. The Bears have already locked up the number 1 spot. Let's just get a win for ourselves. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, anytime it's a divisional matchup, actually, I mean, any matchup is any given Sunday, but especially in divisional matchups.
Yeah.
With that said, I mean, I am heavily favoring the Bucs as well. I just think, I mean, their defense is better than the Jaguars, and the Jaguars shut out the Panthers.
Yeah.
Do they pitch a shutout? Probably not. I mean, they're coming off a pretty rough game. They're probably going to take a minute to get something going, but I think they do get going, and I think they get into the playoffs. I think they win this game with a lot to play for. I mean, Baker wants to sniff the playoffs again, prove that he's still something, and I think that this will be his case to say so.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I'd love to see Baker Mayfield in the playoffs again. There's even been talks about maybe he comes back next year. You know, maybe he's their starter again. He goes, hey, let's run this back. Let's get Mike Evans under 1,000 yards. Let's win the NFC South because they're trash. We can do it back-to-back. Why can't they?
And this could definitely be a team, too, that sticks with Baker not having a high pick. They get a late first round or second round QB to challenge him a little bit. You got Mike Evans on another 1,000-yard season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then you got Chris Godwin. You got Rashad White, other weapons. I just think they're overall the better team. Panthers could make it close. They could make it scary, but I'm heavily Bucks here.
Yeah, I agree. So next one on the docket. This is a very important one for the NFC South. So if the Bucks do lose, this division is still up for grabs. Yes, if the Bucks lose, it's up for grabs. It's between these two teams, the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints are 3.5-point favorites against the Falcons, which is kind of surprising to me because the Saints have been playing like hot dog water recently. So the Saints, if they win and Tampa Bay loses, they win the division. If they win, Seattle loses and Green Bay loses, they go to the playoffs. As for the Falcons, if they win and Tampa Bay loses, they win the division, but they have no shot at a wild card berth.
How do they win a division and not have a...
Because I believe they lose tiebreakers against everyone that's in the wild card.
Oh, jeez.
So they need to win their division or you're out. But New Orleans has a slim shot. New Orleans honestly has a better shot at their division than a wild card berth.
Yeah.
Which is wild. This whole season has been just so close that it just jumbles everything up, makes things so confusing. Usually there's like 2 playoff spots on the line this last week. This week, there's like more than half. Everything can get jumbled.
Yeah. There's going to be... I mean, the playoff picture can look very different than what that looks like right now.
Yep. I will say, the Rams last week did lock up a playoff spot. So, happy for the Rams. Obviously, no one really expected them to do that. This was supposed to be their rebuilding year. And they said, fuck it, we're going to go to the playoffs.
And I think a lot of that has to do with their 2 picks in the draft, which we'll talk about a little bit when we get to their game.
Okay, sounds good. So, we're not going to spend too much time on the Atlanta Saints game because, personally, I don't think either of those teams deserve to make it. I want the Bucs to win and just get rid of both of them. Because the Saints have been underwhelming on every facet of the game. Derek Carr was supposed to do so much better. Mm-hmm. He had the weapons. You have Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill,
Juwan Johnson.
Like, if you have all of those players, you need to step up. Mm-hmm. You need to throw for 4,500 yards. Because they were giving you the chance to. But I don't want to see any more of these 300-yard games with 1 touchdown. Because I feel like I see that every year. From him. Every week. Even this year. From him. And you got to put up some points, you know? Because I remember at the beginning of the year, we were like, man, this defense is good, but they're winning without scoring 20 points.
Yeah. And that doesn't hold up for long.
Clearly. But on the other side, the Falcons, they have all the talent in the world. They just don't know how to fucking use it.
Yeah, and they've got average quarterback play. I mean, Heineke looked pretty bad against the Bears defense last week. He got benched. Ritter came in late in the game. I mean, they're just doing too much flip-flopping with quarterback. I think they need to make a decision, stick with him through the whole game. To me personally, I think it's Heineke. This is a pick'em game.
Yeah.
I think Saints win it, but they get eliminated by the Bucs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you think this game doesn't really mean much by the time it's played?
Yep.
Okay, I like it. What do you think happens next year with the Falcons quarterback situation?
So we already talked about how Atlanta could be front runner if Fields is up for grabs.
I thought they were the front runner. Lamar was up for grabs, and he was, and they didn't take it.
Yeah, but I think they either go for a veteran quarterback or they trade up in the draft. They've got to get a new QB. I don't think they stick with Ritter. I don't think they stick with Heineke. They're not going to just take another chance and add other weapons for an average QB to throw to.
Personally, I'd prefer them pick a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be their best bet.
Just because they have a good team, or they have a great team built. If we're being very honest, I mean, Drake London right now, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson, along with Tyler Algier, those are powerhouse names. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to be a quarterback on that team. You know, you have a great running game. You have a decent. Your line needs work.
Honestly, I'll say it here. I think they either go get Fields or they get Penix. Those are, I think, the two routes that
They
they
get
go.
Michael Penix. Oh. I'm drafting Drake London all day next year. Next year, Drake London will be my wide receiver too.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are their two. Where they are in the draft, the moves they'd have to make, those are their two best options, I think.
Yeah. I agree right there. Obviously, it's something to watch for right now because they're winning just enough to not get one of those top picks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, next on the docket, we got the New York Jets going to the New England Patriots. What a barn burner this game is. Absolutely terrible. We don't have Zach Wilson anymore. Is it Zach Wilson?
No, I think they're
Tim
going
Boyle?
to play Simeon.
Oh, Trevor Simeon. That's right. We're playing Simeon against Bailey Zappi, apparently. This is one of the games that means nothing. Both teams are eliminated. There's a very, very high possibility that Bill Belichick is fired the next day.
Yeah. I mean, both teams have very similar offensive struggles. I think defense win this games, and obviously the better defense is the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, there's a team out there in LA called the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Chargers have already named some coaches that they're interested in for after this season.
Is Bill one of them?
Bill's on that list.
That wouldn't be bad. He'd have a Tom Brady-esque quarterback, a pocket passer who doesn't move much. I mean,
yeah,
that'd be his perfect game plan.
You'd have the quarterback yet again, and then all of a sudden you got to build a defense, and then who's better at building the defense? I mean, right now New England kind of sucks, but their defense is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you just need to have oh wait, you got Kellen Moore already as your OC. Plug Bill in. I think he could fix that franchise in 3 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But again, it's a long 3 years y'all got to go through.
Yeah.
On the other side, the Jets, I'm very curious to see what happens to Bobby Saleh afterwards. Just because, obviously, I think he did it right in the offseason. He said, you know what? My fans see us win games. My fans see us get close, but we are not crossing the threshold. What do I need to do? I need to go get a star, right? And as soon as he gets a star, that star tears his Achilles tendon. And can you blame Robert Saleh for that? No. Can you blame him for what he did afterwards? Yes. Did Joe Flacco call you and ask, can I play for your team? Yes. Did you say no? Yes, you did. You know? So at the same time, like, did he do everything he could have? Yes, in the offseason. During the season, he said, you know what? Let's stick behind Zach Wilson. Let's stick behind Zach Wilson. Let's stick behind Tim Boyle. You know, or Aaron Rodgers' right-hand man, his little buddy. I don't like when teams bend over backwards for their players to a certain extent. Obviously, Lamar's cousin is on the practice squad right now, and I don't think he's probably not that good, but like, we want to make Lamar happy, so sure. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers literally went to the Jets and brought Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, and Tim Boyle with him. And Allen Lazard, they're paying $11 million a year. He's a healthy scratch. Randall Cobb caught his first touchdown, I believe, last week or 2 weeks ago. Okay, great. And then Tim Boyle, they cut. Finally. So when you're bending over backwards to make Aaron Rodgers happy, is this worth it? Is this what we really want to trot on the field as a head coach and say this is our leader, someone that bows down to another player and treats him as if he's more than and isn't coaching him the way everyone should be coached? Mm-hmm. That's what's worrying me about Robert Saleh, and I think there's a potential. Hear me out. Bill Belichick might finally take that job in the New York Jets. Because I don't know if you remember, back about 22 years ago, 23 years ago, he said, "I will be the Jets head coach." And then approximately a day later, he said, "I lied. I will not be the Jets head coach." and then the rest is history. 6 Super Bowls later. Maybe this is the time. Maybe he says, "You know what? I've always loved the way Aaron Rodgers threw the ball." He always called Aaron Rodgers the GOAT over Tom Brady, which probably pissed Brady off. Maybe it's time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets are fine with moving on or staying with Robert Saleh. I mean, he's obviously got the defense playing super, super well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much is that is the defensive coordinator? But
Jeff Ulrich does do a good job.
Yeah. But, I mean, you're going out getting a superstar veteran quarterback who tears his ACL in the first week. It's definitely not what you expected.
Yep.
Like you said, can't fault him for that. You could go 50-50 on the Joe Flacco decision because, I mean, especially coming in that early of the season, you probably have to pay him more than what the Browns are paying him. So you're already paying Lazard, who came with Rodgers. You're paying Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so maybe that was just a money decision. What is this, his second or third year as the Jets head coach?
Third year. Usually, if you don't get to the playoffs by your third year, you're gone.
I think he could sneak another year's chance just because of the QB situation, but I think you definitely, if they miss next year and Aaron Rodgers is healthy, you definitely move on from him.
Yeah.
I think Belichick would have a better shot going to someone like the Chargers than I think the Jets. Just because, I mean, that defense is already playing stellar. You want to go kind of somewhere, prove you're still head coach in this league, and you turn something around, or you maybe at his age don't. So it's a tough call. But I like the Jets here. Defense all the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right here, I like the Jets here as well. Might as well go out with a bang. Why not?
Why not?
Next game here is kind of interesting. It's interesting because it's not at all. The Chargers are eliminated, and the Chiefs are locked in with a number 3 seed. If they lose, number 3. If they win, number 3. All that matters here is a win stat for Andy Reid, and what will eventually he will become one of the all-time winningest head coaches. Where does he fall on that list? We will find out in about 20 years when he finally drops dead from eating too many cheeseburgers. It's never going to happen, though. Obviously, Los Angeles, they're playing Easton Stick. Patrick Mahomes, probably not playing in this game. I wouldn't risk it if I was them. Kelsey, probably not playing in this game. Rasheed Rice, Pacheco, I wouldn't play. Snead, wouldn't play. Clark, wouldn't play. I wouldn't play the majority of our stars in this game just because, hey, we got to get ready to play in the playoffs,
Yeah.
The Chiefs are the last team I want to see in the playoffs, but also a team I really want to see in the playoffs. Because obviously they have not been good this year. They have not been any part of what they should be. But also, they have been so bad, and they're the number 3 seed in the AFC. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
I mean, if they have a top 5 defense and they go in with Patrick Mahomes, anything is possible. They can win a few low-scoring games, which they've done all season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see them. Call me crazy, but they're gonna win a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs, they've got their accolades. I think, I mean, they're gonna be in the playoffs, obviously. How deep, I don't know. It depends on who the first matchup is in the playoffs. I'm gonna take the
3-point spread. The Chargers are favored by 3.
I'm gonna take the Chargers here, just because Easton Stick's got a little more playing time this season than who is it? Caleb Haney.
Caleb Haney hasn't played.
Or no,
for
fuck,
like 10
shit,
years.
yeah, shit.
least.
He played for the Bears. I don't know why I thought about him.
I don't know.
Who's number 4 for the
Henny.
Henny?
I
Yeah,
thought Henny retired.
did he?
Am I going crazy, or I thought he retired, or just haven't heard much from him? Chiefs QB2. Let's see what we got here. Blaine Gabbert.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I like the Chargers to win here. I mean, they want to win for themselves. They're probably going to play their starters outside of Easton Stick, obviously, who's filling in for Herbert. But he's got a couple more starts under his belt than Gabbert's got this season. I think Gabbert's going to start rough, obviously with the wide receiving core that the Chiefs are already dealing with. I would like the Chiefs to play their starting wide receivers. Get them in the game.
Get some reps.
Keep them playing because they are awful. Most drops this season. Couple game-winning ones, too.
Yeah. I mean, for all the Chiefs players or Chiefs fans that are on Twitter right now saying, Rashee Rice, he's here. He's a number one receiver. He's such a good receiver. Keep that energy over the offseason. When you say, well, we didn't win because we didn't have any receivers. No, you have one. Remember? You keep talking about him. Rashee Rice, right?
Right? Rice? Rice?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Keep that energy.
But I like the Chargers here because, I mean, I just think Kellen Moore, he runs a good offense. He's going to keep it competitive, especially if the Chiefs are resting people. And they just want to win. They need something.
Yeah. I think I might take the Chiefs in this offense just because I think Blaine Gabbert, he's a seasoned veteran. Whether he won a lot of games or not. I was shocked to know he was still in the league. That was so long ago. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be on the Jags a long time ago, right?
Yeah, he was their starter as a rookie. I think he got picked like 5th overall, something like that. Like,
Jesus.
How far you fall.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take the Chiefs just because of their pedigree. They're going to finish strong. They're going to want to take that momentum into next week. They're obviously going to have a lot of role players still playing in this game, so let's get them some valuable reps against not that great of a team, and let's get a win before we go into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, we got your Chicago Bears going to Green Bay, and I believe Green Bay is winning in. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're winning in.
Green Bay win, and they're in.
Yeah.
That's all that needs to happen. Can they be stopped for 2 years in a row by a division rival that is coming on late? That is won what, the last 5 games?
We're 5-2 in our last 7.
5-2 in the last 7. I believe you won your last 5 home games.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I knew it was a 5-game win streak of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Not very many of those.
But still, 5-2 in their last 7 games. They're hot right now, you know. And the Bears want to finish strong. I mean, if anyone wants to finish strong, it is Matt Eberflus and these Bears trying to keep their jobs. Justin Fields wanting to show off for every team in the NFL that says, "Hey, we need a quarterback, but we can't draft a top 10 guy." Hey, I'm here. I don't know if you've heard of me, but my name is Justin Fields, and I have ran for 1,000 yards in a season, and I have brought the Bears into being a winning franchise the last half season. Do you want to take a chance on me?
Right, exactly.
I would.
And that's his resume. I mean, I'm a well runner. I can move the chains, whether it's in the air or on the ground. That sack that he broke last week.
That was insane. I was a little pissed off by the commentators. The commentators were like, "He is one of one. Only one player can make that play." And I was like, excuse me?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar did that 2 weeks ago.
He's the only other, I think.
I agree.
But going into Lambeau is always tough.
Yes.
Packers could very well win this game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with my homies. I'm going to stick with my Bears. We are going into Lambeau. We are going to dominate because our defense is number 1 in the league with turnovers since week 5.
I like it.
19 interceptions.
I think you guys really have a chance. You played them week 1 and you're playing them week 18. And you have a chance to say, this is not the same Bears. We have changed.
Yeah.
And it's completely different. Matt Eberflus, give yourself a pat on the back, even though if you do get fired, that sucks. It doesn't look like he will be.
Yeah, I think they've already there's rumors coming about that he's already keeping his job. So.
And that's amazing. I mean, I hear, from what I hear, I have not done much research on it, I'm sure you have, that he is a great presence in the locker room.
Oh, yeah. He's got nicknames for everybody. The energy he has when he talks to players. I mean, he's dull in press conferences. He makes some bad game time decisions, but it's his second year as a head coach. I mean, and you had a very, very poor roster last year. I mean, now you got DJ Moore. You've got Montez Sweat on the other side. You've got pieces on defense. You've got some pieces on offense You could add some more pieces, and you could have a very, very good roster. At least on paper,
Yeah.
you could have a very good roster that nobody wants to defend.
And I think that's where I lean to Caleb Williams, because your roster can get better outside of the quarterback. Caleb Williams will be cheap on his first year of his rookie deal. All of a sudden, you can go out there and get stud wide receiver. You can go out there and get T. Higgins.
Yeah.
You can go out there and get someone,
Yeah. We're very much like the Lions this year. When Dan Campbell took over the Lions, they went and got Jared Goff. They went 3-13, 3-13. Then they went 8-9. Their 8th win was knocking off the Packers in Week 18.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Bears, in their first 2 years with a head coach, they went 3-14. They are now 6-9. They can go 7-9, knocking off the Packers in Week 18.
Gosh, that would be phenomenal.
I mean, again, we've said it many times. Very hard decision. I really like the Bears winning this game. I think they've got something to prove. They want to beat the Packers. They always want to beat the Packers. They're tired of getting stomped on. They can keep them from the playoffs, and I think they do so.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I'm excited for this Bears-Packers matchup. Most excited I've been for a Bears-Packers matchup since the last Bears-Packers matchup when I thought the Bears were going to win. So, who knows what's going to happen. I'm excited for it. I hope the Bears come out strong and send those Packers home for the second year in a row. Because even though I'm not a Bears fan, I still hate the Packers because I grew up in the middle of Illinois.
Yep.
Next right here, we got the Denver Broncos going to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 2.5-point favorites right now after a Devontae Adams absolute masterclass in the championship round of fantasy last week. Congratulations to Devontae Adams. You absolutely murdered it. But we got one more week of football left, So let's see what Jarrett Stidham and his backup Russell Wilson can do against Aiden O'Connell and his backup Jimmy Garoppolo. That is such a wild headline.
That is. I mean, to Russell Wilson, I know you can be a little diva sometimes, but the situation's tough for you. I think if you're playing, Broncos win this game, but I'm taking the Raiders here. I think ever since Aiden O'Connell's kind of stepped in, ever since John Gruden got fired, they're gelling a little. They're gelling more. Offense is hitting on some cylinders. They're putting up points. Max Crosby is a freaking monster. He's a game changer at that defensive end position. You don't want him coming after you if you're Jarrett Stidham, who, doesn't have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Doesn't have great pocket presence. He's going to get sacked a lot. I think defense is the biggest factor here in this game. And Devontae Adams. If he can have a good game, I think offense will have a good game, and defense will keep him under enough.
Yeah. That's definitely possible. This game, I think, is one of the bigger pick'ems in this week's matchups. Jarrett Stidham, obviously, he had a crazy game yard-wise last week. Lil Jordan Humphreys went in for a touchdown. He had that team rolling offensively, but did he do more than Russ would have? Last week, they weren't playing a crazy good team.
No, yeah.
They were playing the Chargers, I believe.
Yeah.
And the Chargers are trash on defense. Did he show much? I don't know. We're going to find out against what right now is one of the better defenses in the league ever since Antonio Pierce stepped up. Devontae Adams, he's going to get his against this Denver. Words.
Words are hard.
Devontae Adams, he's going to get his against this Denver Broncos defense. We already know that. But on top of that, Zamir White, he's been rolling ever since Josh Jacobs went down. I don't think Josh Jacobs should play this week. I don't think he is. I don't think he should. I think Zamir White should just say, hey, let me get mine because I haven't gotten many touches when Josh Jacobs is healthy. And why is that? So he's probably trying to show him, like, hey, let me carve into that workload a bit next year.
Yeah.
And I want to see it. Aside from that, the Broncos obviously going through the major fiasco with Russell Wilson. Team 3 is sending out a whole bunch of reports saying, hey, Broncos are messing up. Broncos are sending out a whole bunch of reports saying, hey, Russ won't work with us. all in all, NFLPA got involved. They settled on something, and Russell Wilson is being benched, so he can't get hurt. So they cannot he cannot get his $37 million, which sucks for Russell Wilson. The team did agree to it, so the fact that they asked him to step away from it, I think is absolute baloney.
Yeah, and I mean,
you made a bad deal. You got to live with your deal. You also traded 5 picks for this man.
if you ask him to restructure his contract a little bit after the way he played last season, I totally get it. And maybe Russ agrees to it. But when he's coming out here and they struggle early on, going 0-3, 0-4, and then their defense gets hot, Russ gets hot, and now you're in contention for the playoffs. And you need to win these next 2 games, and you sit a quarterback that's playing well. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, you're looking at if he gets hurt, but there's also no guarantee that he gets hurt in the next 2 games.
Well, he could pull like a Jalen Ramsey type thing and go, oh, my shoulder.
Yeah.
I want my $37 million. You know? And that happens. You know, I get it, and if I was Russell Wilson, I'd fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'd practice and be like, oh, I'm injured. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
telling my teammates, hey, hit me this time, all right? Hit me. Go for it.
Yeah. It's just overall bad situation. Broncos don't look good. I mean, Russell, in a sense, doesn't look good, but then he's also, like, in a tough spot. So, I mean, just the way everything's being handled, and you got Jared Stidham playing against, like you said, upcoming defense these past few weeks. I just think that it's just going to be a tough game for them. I mean, you don't got Cortland Sutton. You've got Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, who at least now are mid-receivers. I mean, Jeudy hasn't lived up to his potential. Marvin Mims is a rookie.
Yeah.
Going against Adams and Jacoby Myers, who's come
Hunter
on.
Renfrow even.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not being used anymore. Dude had 1,000 yards like recently.
Yeah. So
like last year or 2 years ago.
Definitely probably a pick'em game, but Raiders defense I think keeps the Broncos in the position, or keeps them in the position to beat the Broncos.
Yeah. And this is one of the games that has no playoff implications.
Yeah.
It's over for both these teams. They're just playing for pride right now. But the next game, Philadelphia Eagles need to win this game for a shot at this division, right? They screwed it up last week. They did not beat, the Arizona Cardinals last week in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. They let the Cardinals come into their spot. Even when Julio Jones is catching 2 touchdown passes, they cannot win. So they're limping into the playoffs as 5.5-point favorites against the New York Giants in the last week of the season. The New York Giants, they are playing at home. The Giants are. Tyrod Taylor had a hell of a game yet again. Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback. He's a starter. Who's going to give him a chance? Nobody. And that sucks. That sucks for Tyrod. But here we are. I do think the Eagles are going to win this game because they need to win this game. I do think the Giants, they just played like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and Tyrod Taylor almost led a comeback win.
That's right. And I don't think he started that game, did he?
Nope. Nope, DeVito did.
Maybe this time Tyrod says, you know what? I'm starting the whole game this time. I'm putting up 35 on your ass. You know?
Yeah.
I'm still going to take the Eagles in this game just because they have more to play for, and I do think they just have more overall talent. And this seems like a fairly boring game. I remember watching this on Christmas Day, and I was like kind of uninterested in the entire scenario. The run games for both these teams, obviously the Giants have a terrible offensive line, so the Eagles can stop that pretty shortly, and then the Eagles are going to run in circles with DeAndre Swift. Other than that, I just want to see Jalen Hurts put up points. Last week he put up points, but their defense also let down a lot of points. This week, I just want to see it all come together for him right before the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to pick the Eagles. I'm not going to take them on any spread just because they've lost 3 of the last 4 against, not that great opponents.
No, not at all. They were on a 3-game skid, won this game, lost last week. 4 of the last 5?
Probably, yeah. I think so.
Rough.
That's
For a 9-1 team.
That's not how you want to end a season. You want to get hot before entering the playoffs. They could very well blow them out. I think the offensive line for the Giants is the biggest factor because, I mean, you've got Jalen Carter, Sweat, Brandon Graham, fucking... Who else do they got?
Who?
Riddicks.
Oh, Reddick.
Hassan
Reddick.
I mean, that's 5 pieces, and they've only got to rush 4. So they've even got depth who
And their
can get
defense
after the
is good right now.
quarterback.
They have Bradbury. They have Slay. They have their rookie this year. Last week took back a 99-yard pick six, and Sidney Brown from Illinois.
Yeah. So I mean, if their defense can put it together and not let up so many points, I think they handedly win this game. They struggled against the run game against James Conner last week. They're
James
facing...
Conner had a hell of a one-handed catch in the end zone.
Oh yeah, he did.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah, he did.
James Conner, you should be a Pro Bowl running back this year.
See,
I think James Conner deserves.
I don't get the Steelers. They went from Le'Veon Bell to James Conner to Najee Harris.
They did not need Najee Harris.
They didn't. They could have kept Connor. They could have kept Bell. I mean, I know contract situation there, but 2 running backs that
they could have kept.
They could have
They
kept.
should have kept Connor, basically.
Yeah. But again, Giants line I think loses this game. Tyrod Taylor's going to be put on his back a lot. They're not going to get up points. If Saquon can have a fucking MVP game, they can make it close.
Yeah.
Just because they struggled against the run last week.
Darren Waller had a bad drop last week too. I mean, the team just looks to be done with the season.
Yeah,
and that's what usually what you see at the end of the season games. You know, like some teams are still fighting for stuff. Some teams want to have pride, and some teams are just like, hey, I want to get to Cancun.
Yeah,
you know,
they're like, I'm done.
I'm done. I don't want to be your friend anymore. We're done.
Yeah,
like that's how it feels. The next game is. Not a fun one, but it'll be an important one. The Seattle Seahawks are going to Arizona. Seattle Seahawks are 2.5-point favorites going to play the Cardinals. Seahawks last week lost a bit of a heartbreaker last week against the Steelers. Just too many mistakes. Just too many mistakes made. And you don't really see that from a Pete Carroll-led team. But unfortunately for them, it happened. The Steelers were just on their game, and they lost at home. You know, and now the Steelers have a chance to make the playoffs. Seahawks, I believe, also have a chance to make the playoffs. Let me pull up your scenario real quick. What do you have to say while I'm pulling this up? I think...
this is tough, because, I mean, the Cardinals, they just seem to put it together, but they're not winning games. Kyler Murray, he's looked okay. He's making a case for himself to still be Cardinals quarterback next year, get some more weapons. He made some really good throws last week against the Eagles. I mean, he had that one that sailed, maybe some miscommunication. He thought the guy was going to keep running up into the corner of the end zone. It got returned for a pick six, but he rallied back from that. He rallied the team, and, they put up points to come back.
Yeah.
The Seahawks defense is not as good as the Eagles by any means.
No.
I think if they can hold the Seahawks to 17, they win. But if Seahawks get 20 or more, I think they lose this game. I'm going to take the Seahawks on a pick'em. I think they have more weapons offensively. Geno Smith is more seasoned. He still delivers the ball well. He still makes good decisions. If he can clean up the mistakes, I think they win this game.
Yeah. So I looked at the Seahawks playoff scenarios. Right now they're 8-8. If they win, they need a little help, and it's help from the Bears. They need the Bears to beat the Packers, and they win, and they are in the playoffs. Right? That's scary because the Bears don't usually win those games.
Yeah.
But like we both said earlier, this is the chance for them to do it. You know, they're rolling. Green Bay's kind of rolling, but it's a wagon meeting a wagon in Lambeau.
Yep.
I'm hoping for a crash. It'd be a good game. But going back to the Seahawks game playing in Arizona, Jonathan Gannon, hell of a job he did last week against the Eagles, you know?
Yeah.
Against the team that said, we don't want you as our defensive coordinator anymore, you know? And he's like, okay, I'll fucking beat you then. I'll try to end your season. I don't care. They clinched and everything, but regardless, like, he's feeling himself. Especially playing against his former team, and then this week they have to play against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks, obviously they're a division rival, and you know the one thing you want to do as a division rival is be that wrecking ball that knocks them out, you know, before they even get the chance. Seattle Seahawks, though, they're playing for their lives. Geno Smith, he got a taste of the playoffs last year as a pumpkin rolling in, and I see that pumpkin rolling in yet again. But the Seahawks, their secondary has been kind of trash recently. You thought they were pulling it together, but just like last year, I mean, I don't know what it is about the end of the year and the Seahawks, but they don't mesh. It's like a magnet with a south and another magnet with a south, and they can't mesh the end of the year and defense. And that's why I'm going to go with the Cardinals for this game. I think Arizona, they're kind of rolling, especially if James Conner can do what he did last week. And if he can score, if he can run, if he gets over 100 yards, I'm calling for an Arizona Cardinals win and knocking the Seattle Seahawks out of the playoffs. Let's get a better team in there.
Yeah, I don't hate that very well with James Conner. I mean, just the way he's been playing the past few weeks. He has a game like he did last week that could be the sway.
Yeah, let's just control this game. But that's also so hard to say because JSN has come on very hard recently.
Yeah, he has.
You know, JSN's been great. Kenneth Walker had a phenomenal run last week for a touchdown. That was great. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, like they have the pieces. They just can't get it together. If they can get a good offensive line, and if they just draft a few more defensive pieces, I think they'll be solid. But they need to figure out this end of the year woes thing as of next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Geno's getting a little old.
You know, the more we talk about these games that people are kind of mid, they're like on the edge of the playoffs.
Why have you not brought up Justin Fields to the Seahawks?
That's what I was just about to say.
Oh.
Like, I mean, we're talking about all these teams and that are like not bad enough to get a high pick, not good enough to make the playoffs. Just more contenders for the Bears to trade with.
I agree. And that's dangerous because Justin Fields with that deep ball. And then you got DK Metcalf running a go route. You got Tyler Lockett with a little curl. You got JSN over the middle. And you got a running game? That's a playoff team right there. That's a playoff team. Because try defending Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and Justin Fields on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you could run a QB 2 running back set with 2 wide receivers on the outside too. I mean, oh God.
And if they drafted Brock Bowers?
Oh my God.
That was weird. I'm sorry. That was wild. Yeah, no, that's what I'm excited for. Now, I just realized that I want Justin Fields to go to the Seahawks. I want you guys to get Caleb Williams. I want him to go to the Seahawks. And I want y'all to play in the playoffs. Let's make it happen. Call me. I'll be the agent. Let me make some money. Next game on the docket, we got the playoff Rams going to the number 1 seed San Francisco 49ers. And as stupid as this sounds, this game does not matter at all. Because the 49ers probably resting their starters. The Rams probably resting their starters because they can't really move much. I believe they're locked into that number 6 spot. Maybe they're in the 7. But regardless, they have a playoff spot. And you don't really get to choose where you go, so you might as well just rest your players for a week. Because this is... the last thing you want to do is go into the playoffs and you have a player that got hurt in a meaningless Week 18 game.
Right, absolutely.
I'm looking at you, Miami Dolphins, who got Bradley Chubb hurt, tore his ACL in the 4th quarter of a game that was you were down by 34. Use your noggin.
Yeah, I mean, with both teams, I'm not even going to pick this game because, I mean, you've got both teams potentially resting their starters, and then so what do you look at? You look at head coach. Probably one Two best coaches in the league playing each other.
Agreed.
So, I mean...
It was speculated beforehand in the offseason that Sean McVay didn't really want to coach anymore. It was speculated that he got the offer from Amazon saying, hey, you commentate our Thursday night games, we'll give you $500 million. For 10 years. You do 10 years with us, we'll give you $500 million?
And he said no.
And he said no. I believe the offer is still on the table for when he retires. But I sincerely believe that he came back this year and he said, you know what? Let's see if I still want to do this. And he got all these young guns and these players that no one's ever heard about. And he said, well, I can coach them up. I got them winning. I got them playing meaningful football in January.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I think Sean McVay is going to be there for another 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely be Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick kind of coach, just there forever, like he's always just been there.
Yeah.
So I can't really break it down to the coaching. I'm not gonna break it down to the QB2s because I mean,
who knows who's playing?
You could have Stinson Bennett playing against Sam Darnold, who, I mean, Sam Darnold is not great.
He threw a pick against the Ravens too.
If I had to pick, I'd go with 49ers just because of their pedigree, like you did earlier with the Chiefs. But I really don't like picking this game. It's a pick 'em wholeheartedly.
I really wouldn't pick this game either. And the game, thankfully, we don't really have to. It's not a worthwhile game to turn on, except for the fact that if Puka plays, if Kyron Williams plays, props to that GM. Les Snead, you did phenomenal drafting, okay? Your 2 third-round D tackles, obviously Aaron Donald's leading the way, getting them some one-on-ones, but they are doing phenomenal. Kyron Williams, phenomenal. Y'all got fucking Puka Nacua doing phenomenal. Y'all have offensive linemen that are stepping up. You guys have defensive linemen stepping up. You have safeties stepping up. You have an edge rusher that is one of the best young edge rushers in the league. I mean, this isn't supposed to happen in 2 years. Mm-mm. This isn't supposed to be that kind of a rebuild. This is a reload.
Yeah, and that goes to just, again, good coaching. I mean,
and you know what we forgot?
Teams with bad coaching aren't doing so well with even talented players on their end.
Yeah.
What did we forget?
The Rams have a number 1 pick this year. They have a first-round pick this year. And they haven't had one in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, they could get a Penix or a Jaden Daniels behind Stafford.
Or they get a Bowers?
Oh my God. Oh. Jeez.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Obviously, 49ers have great depth. That's why I'm going to take the Niners in this game. But again, it doesn't matter. Only 2 games left. We got the Dallas Cowboys going to Washington to play the Commanders. Dallas Cowboys are 13-point favorites, and I would bump that up even more, honestly.
Yep. I mean, they're playing their starters to stay in number 2 seed.
Yep.
They're going to absolutely dominate. I'm not going to spend much time on it. I mean, they got away with the win last week, I will tell you that. I mean, that call not being reported as eligible, I've seen many looks at it. He looks like he's talking to the ref. Dan Campbell even told him before the game that I'm going to have this guy report as eligible to you on a specific 2-point conversion.
While we're talking about it, a billboard was actually just put in Detroit saying Decker reported.
That's hilarious. But
that's heartbreaking because if that happens, the Lions are the number 2 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, it pains me to see reffing like that. Like, it almost makes me just want to pick the Commanders out of spite, but Dallas is just too good all the way around.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying Dallas wouldn't. There's a chance they go back down there and score a field goal. You know, they have one of the best kickers in the league this year. Brandon Aubrey hasn't missed a kick this year, and he's absolutely booming them. There's a chance that they go down there and this game's over anyways. We don't know that.
Right.
But at the same time, the refs, y'all messed up. And NFL, if you're listening, I know Roger Goodell tunes in. He called me. And he said, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Sage. And I said, let me tell you, Goody. Goodell, Mr. Goodman. I said, let me tell you what we need to do. We need to not be the only professional sports league that doesn't have full-time refs. The NBA, full-time refs. Great salary. NHL, full-time refs, great salary. MLB, full-time refs, great salary. Why are our refs part-time employees? You know? If I could just do this on my summers, I would. And I feel like that's what we're doing. It's so hard to be an NFL ref, and we're bringing these guys up from college. There's no wonder that our refs are the worst in professional sports.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I mean...
Also, our refs are like 80 years old. Like,
right.
I'm sorry,
like,
but
some of these guys can't even keep up. I mean, it sounds like they did something about it, which also then admits that they made a fucking bad call by downgrading them to out of the playoff refs.
Yeah.
But Dallas definitely...
That reffing crew is actually reffing the Ravens-Steelers game this week.
Yeah.
Yikes. But that reffing crew has also messed up huge games all year.
Yeah.
You know, they also messed up that Packers-Chiefs game. Like, they've been off their rocker the entire year, so no wonder that they're not going to be in the playoffs this year. That's fine.
Yep. I totally like that decision. Back to this game, Cowboys whole-handedly win.
Yeah.
No
I
matter who
agree.
you get, Brissett or Howell.
Washington, your defense is just so bad.
It is.
It's so goddamn atrocious. That's all I got.
God,
Right?
they could have had Tyree Stevenson, Joey Porter, but they went Emmanuel Forbes.
I know, Emmanuel Forbes, he gets burned all the time. And then he cries about it. I'm never going to forget that. A.J. Brown made him cry. That was hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm all about men are allowed to cry. But, dog, not when you just got burned.
Yeah.
And A.J. Brown goes, you too little. Maybe you are.
Yeah.
Get to the lab.
Get to the lab.
Me and Michael hitting the lab right after this. Because, look, our arms are small. All right. And then we're finally ending up the last game of the NFL season. Regular season.
And the best game of the week.
Best game of the week. For the division. Your Miami Dolphins are hosting the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills are favored by 3 points. Now that seems disrespectful. I know the Dolphins just got 56 hung on them last week, right? Mm-hmm. But regardless of that, the Buffalo Bills have been a very top-tier defense. The Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins have been a very top-tier defense. The Miami Dolphins have put up lots of points. I believe Jalen Waddle will be back this game. He will. I believe Raheem Mostert will be back this game. Neither one of those guys played last week. Keep that in mind, you know? Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, almost lost to the Patriots last week. And they're favored in this game? Why? Because of Josh Allen? Josh Allen didn't pass 100 yards until the third quarter last week. So why is this man getting so much love when they needed a Rasul Douglas touchdown to win that game? It is beyond me. I am taking the Dolphins in this game as home division dogs. Because I think they're going to pull it out. And I think they're going to show them exactly why they deserve to be in the playoffs. They're going to get their second win against the winning team in the last week of the season. They're already in the playoffs. They're going to say, let's send you, McDermott, you Al-Qaeda 11, boy, out. Sorry, I had to go on my rant. How do you feel about this game?
I like the Dolphins here, too. I think, especially if Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert are coming back, and they put up some sort of production. They're going to take the pressure off Hill, who then is a monster at getting open.
Yeah.
I just think Josh Allen, he's taken the slight step. I mean, he's got another, 48 total touchdown season. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
But he's also leading the league in turnovers. Against a good defense, I think he throws one or two. Or throws one and fumbles one.
Yeah.
I think that flips momentum into the Dolphins' favor, and the Dolphins just end up running away with it.
I agree.
To what otherwise could be a close game. Mike McDaniel is just, I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he just draws up the right plays, tailors to his players, and I think it's going to be a shootout, and the Dolphins run away probably fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can see that. I can see that as well. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been a major letdown this entire year. Might be a Gabe Davis game because he didn't do anything last week, which we all expected because he did something the week before that. James Cook, he's been a lot better than any of us expected. Also, just shout out his brother Dalvin Cook got released by the Jets this morning, so he can sign with the contender. Baltimore.
Wow.
Oh
My God.
no, we got Melvin Gordon, who's literally juking guys out of their ACLs. Sorry, Brandon Show. But sorry, back to this game. The Miami Dolphins, it's hard to say that they're absolutely going to win this game because it is true. They don't win against winners. The one win they do have is against the Cowboys. They won by, I believe, 1 or 2 points on a last-second field goal. And that last-second field goal, they scored 5 of those field goals. You know, they weren't getting in the end zone. If they could just get in the end zone one more time, it would be a non-factor. It wouldn't be a problem. Their offense is great against these bad teams. They can beat up on these bad teams. They can bully bad teams. Unfortunately, I don't think the Bills are a bad team. And honestly, I probably wouldn't want to see the Bills more than I wouldn't want to see the Dolphins because I think the whole team just is built not better, but they're gel better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think Mike McDaniels is a phenomenal offensive mind. I just think Sean McDermott has his team playing at a high level right now, aside from them almost losing to the Patriots, who is a division game, so you can't fault them for that because your division knows you best.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing that sways me towards the Dolphins is you've got the Bills, who the past 2 weeks have been playing close games against teams you don't think would be close. You've also got the Dolphins, who scored 2 touchdowns in the past 2 games, and I don't see them doing that again. I see them getting in the end zone more, which is gonna lean this game towards them in their favor. I'm not going higher than a pick'em, but I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I think they just edge out the Bills, maybe because of turnovers, maybe because they just win the shootout. But I like the Dolphins here. They don't get in the playoffs a lot. They don't win their division a lot. I think this is their year. I think Tua's playing his best ball. He's not turning the ball over a lot. So I just think that's the most important thing. Can Josh Allen have a full game without giving up the ball? I just don't think so.
I don't think so either. That's really all I have to say about this game. I mean, I think the Bills they can do this, but the Dolphins, I think, just will.
Yeah.
Also, the Bills won the first game, and Miami doesn't really lose in Miami much. You know, it's hard to lose in a stadium that's literally built for you to win. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The stadium is built for them to win because the away team has to sit in the sun while Miami gets to fucking shade the entire time. Also, Miami gets to pick the white home jerseys while the other team has to pick darker jerseys. That way they're even more hot. Miami, you're dirty. Anyway. But yeah, I love this game. I can't wait for it. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be explosions. And there's a chance, I feel like everyone that listens to this podcast is going to know this already. Buffalo could be the number 2 seed. If things fall out the wrong way, they can fall out of the playoffs completely.
Yeah.
They have not clinched, but they could be the 2 seed, which is absolutely wild to think about.
That's an insane. You're playing for a high seed, or you're playing for going home. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
I don't know. It's definitely going to be the funnest game to watch this week, I think.
Yeah, and there's still options in there for you for a wild card berth, but that's even harder to get. Basically, win, you're in.
Yep.
Take care of your own destiny. That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Thank y'all so much for watching another episode of the Audible podcast. As of next week, we're going to be talking playoff football. Who's excited for that? Can't wait.
That means shorter episodes. That means less of us. I mean, I know you're sad to hear that.
We're going to talk way more about the games.
But you you can find us on Twitter, Instagram. We'll probably do something with TikTok next year, so just Instagram and Twitter at this time. Make sure to drop us a like, drop us a follow, comment your predictions, comment your Ryan Poles scenarios, comment your field scenarios,
and we're gonna be betting this whole playoffs. So make sure if you're following us on any of that, we're gonna be posting our DraftKings usernames, and you can tail our bets. All right?
Yeah, absolutely. So look out for those slips. Look out for the reasons why. Let us know what you want us to talk about in the playoffs or next season or off season. Let us know. We will see you next week.
Peace.